Did we choose our path, or was it chosen for us? Or ideas weren't always solid, but perhaps we ended up on the wrong side. Life could have ended differently for us, provided circumstances were not what they were. But we may never know, sister. These men conviction make me wonder. So I ask you, Kimyo and Space Cadet, what makes someone truly evil? Is it the atrocities committed to people in the open, or is it the intent behind the action that truly makes someone evil? Considering beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, so is good and evil. Looking into Thanatos' ideology, all of them believed in Kimyo race inheriting the planet from the humans, whether it was naturally or done by force, while K.O.D.E believes that Kimyos and humans can ultimately live together with a fragile peace, at least at this current point in time, cultivating the current status quo. But what happens when the light of peace does not reach the darkest corners of society? What world does that create? What misguided hope can be created from this twisted reality? There is one pair of characters who, although is an afterthought for most, represents the deepest character in the Thanatos army that we have been provided up until this day. Juro and Kani HIME expresses this theme of perspective of good and evil in ordeal, and how misguiding the future generation can lead to a multitude of casualties. So today, Kimyo and Space Cadets, we will be discussing how the HIME sisters are misunderstood. In this series we love so much, we see the perspective of Kimyo's lives from a brighter lens, which gives us a skewed perspective of what reality they live in and who determines right and wrong of that reality. So let's take a look into the Kimyo who started it all, and how his perspective shaped the world we know. In Thanatos' first life, he was loved. That love quickly turned upside down once he discovered how to truly cultivate his powers. We have the 4 great talents, but also the 4 different ideals represented by each. Elios would like to live in harmony with the humans, which is the idea that survived up until this current date through K.O.D.E. Okinos disregarded the humans as lesser than but insignificant compared to them in their greater calling. Then there's K.O.D.E, who accepts the relationship that the human provides to them, although it goes against God's will. Last, we have Thanatos, who was disregarded before his brother's great might. Once he realized how he can cultivate his powers through the humans, he looked at them as only cattle, misinterpreting God's will as Kimyos being the ones to inherit the earth. As history goes on, we see how human nature truly comes into play, attempting to destroy something they did not understand. Once Thanatos reincarnates into the Kimyo King, who only wanted a friend, at his birth, both his father and mother rejected his very existence and confined him to the house. His nanny, who he considered to be his mother, another fellow Kimyo, took him outside for the first time. Once he was discovered by humans, they referred to him as a devil. And as his mother gets beheaded before his very eyes, the love and curiosity he had before turned into rage and sorrow. From that moment, Cain made it his life mission to eradicate humans, so that all that remains on the planet are Kimyos, giving those Kimyos ridiculed and hunted throughout centuries at home, also providing them meaning and understanding to their lives and suffering, completely willing to sacrifice themselves for those ideals, even if they are considered only pawns. As Cain is killed by Leo, Vaal continues his master legacy while awaiting his next return. As Leo dies, Vaal sees an opportunity. He may be able to get rid of his other underlying threat known as Rokash Reprasad, and with little luck, retrieve the boxes of life and death. If he plays his cards right, eventually bring back his master Thanatos. So, to gauge his enemy's strength, he utilized the escaped Patmos inmate, referred to now as Titan. In episode 19, we are introduced to our first Titan, a Kimyo who enhanced her body with donning spider legs on her back. She exhibits perfect control over her metal enhancement. She was tasked to hunt the X-ray Kimyo Ferrari. With her abilities, known as foresight, she can tell the immediate or distant future of anyone she looks at. With this ability giving her the upper hand, the Titan kills Ferrari, thus confirming one of Vaal's theory that the current army is adequate enough to fight the lower top 150 members in K.O.D.E's army. Ian disregards this Kimyo possible humanity and states it's only a monster. As she wallows in her short-term victory, she makes eye contact with the unknown Kimyo unintentionally. Foresight is then activated, pulling the Titan into a not-so-distant future, where the world she fought for is engulfed in flames, as one Kimyo stands there. With the knowledge that a future of destruction is inevitable, she laments that a future where her kind can live in peace will never come to be, resulting in her mentally breaking and going insane, as she now only has the power to beg for the random Kimyo to get away from her. She is then taken to Patmos, never to be seen again, being disregarded by not only Vaal, but us as the readers as well. We then shift to season 2 of Ordeal, where before the Greenland world, we are introduced to the next rank in Vaal's army, called the Titan General. We see one by the name of Urahime, tasked with finding the information of the box of life and death. She fights Anton King, but we will save that for another day. Ura hosts a plethora of different abilities. She's able to shift into a spider-like creature, which hardness is comparable to that of a high type. She has the ability to shoot webs from her hand, but also from the metal spider appendages as well. She dons poison daggers that she can spit out that can damage metaphysical concepts like chi. She then has her main talent by the the name of Bladed Sight, allowing her to pierce through any being's thought. She can even see memories which the subject has suppressed beyond their own recollection. Her mission propels them a step forward towards their ideal world. With the boxes of life and death revealed, Thanatos has a chance of being revived. She then is shown affection by Vaal, enough to make her blush as he remarked at how much he needs. We then shift into the Greenland War, where Aurora has been given command over 3,000 soldiers. As she fights the unit of Commander Henley, she begins to get overwhelmed. As she remembers the day of death described by her sister, Kani Hime, which name was revealed in episode 92, Kani couldn't bring herself to tell her sister the circumstance, but relayed that it was K.O.D.E. As Aurora begins to give all of herself in the present for the cause that she fought nearly her entire life for. In her last moment, she recounts the darkness in her life and the perspective that darkness had bred for both her and her sister to go down the dark path. And in her last moments, she was convinced by the conviction of the humans that perhaps their lives could have been different, as she explodes with the two humans ultimately being taken out by the species that she grown to hate. We talk a lot about perspective in this video, so let's understand how Aurora and Kani Hime's experience brought them to this point. When we take a look at their childhood design, it reveals a lot about their relationship and history these two could possibly have had. In episode 93, as Aurora reflects on the regrets in her life, we are shown them as children. We are informed that Aurora's main talent is blinded sight, but we see that she already has the shift-like talent. This can mean that they have been a part of Vaal's army and indoctrinated to the idea of Kimyo dominant almost their entire life. Even with Kani Hime's design, she also dons the same spider-like appendages from the Titan technology that we see on her back in episode 19. When we look at the eyes, it reveals the emotions of both sisters. They both are peering at the blood on Aurora's hand. Aurora is showing a look of regret. We then have Kani, although indifferent about the blood, she does look sad when it comes to the hurt that her sister is feeling emotionally. Viewing Kani as an insignificant monster for 74 episodes of Ordeal, with this scene reflects a similar view that the Wolfpack have with Shake, where he is willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of the ones he loves, almost disregarding the pain his decision caused. But do we follow him, or do we justify his decisions due to his experience? From the outside perspective, he may seem like a monster, maybe as bad as the ones that blew up the stadium, but even with this, he is still humanized by his pack, which is the same situation for Kani. Going back to their attire as children, they are both wearing Japanese soldier attire, going to show the state at which they grew up in being that of a battlefield. If we take into account the ridicule that Kimyo faced, we can conclude that they have been haunted by humans for being who they are. As Vaal finds them and indoctrinates them into the beliefs of Thanatos, a similarly perfect world where they can be happy, raise a family, and ultimately have descendants who wouldn't have to face the same tragedies and bear the same sins as them, ultimately using the sister's wish for peace in their own life and twisting it to his own means. Juro appears in over 10 chapters of Ordeal, making her the Titan general we technically seen the most. So let's look into the etymology of their family name. Hime being Japanese, meaning for princess or lady of noble birth. We see Hime is upgraded. Vaal remarks her beauty being enhanced by her scars, but what is more important is that he said that she would never leave his side as she blushes. I'm not saying that she was promised to be Vaal's wife or anything like that, but more like someone of notoriety in the new world, which would lead me to believe that before they was found by Vaal, she could have been a homeless Kimyo on the streets, loved by no one and only cared for by her sister. Although Vaal never cared for her emotionally, he only manipulated her in order to have control over the talent he put value in, rather than the Kimyo herself. When we look at the panel of Captain Revolver and Sergeant Shadi, it reflects a life filled with light, going to show their fulfillment in their life and the happiness that they chose to live in the moment, granting them clarity in their death. While Juro and Kani Hime contrasting panel is surrounded by darkness that parallels the life that they have led up until this point, one of complete emptiness, a world filled to the brim with darkness, even with the hope of fighting for the future. Their panel also reveals the glimpses of light, going to show that they was each other's light in the past and leading into the present. As Hime takes off her jacket and shifts, she notices how cold it is outside. This makes her remember the conditions of her death Kani revealed to her. Kani states when she saw Juro's death, there was nothing in her eyes but pure emptiness, almost as if she lost the light that was keeping her stable. Although Juro is advised of the day she would die, her only hope was that her sister would be able to see the world that they had both shed blood for. Kani confirms she can't see her own future, but the emptiness in Juro's eyes will only be there if Kani wasn't there. With this realization, she sheds a tear and truly becomes ready to sacrifice herself with no path left but forward, sacrificing herself for the world that her people will see and be looked at as a hero for their cause. However, Juro's perspective isn't the only one. Although only shown a few times, Kani Hime's perspective influences her sister's view as well. So let's take a look into that. Kani's personality seems to be similar to that of Slay, meaning she tends to hide her true intentions. She seems to relish in the fact that she was able to beat be the aspect Kimyo. This added to her own self-inflated ego. But what would you do given the ability to see others' futures? Would you feel untouchable? Would the web of fate manipulate you as well? She also has access to all of her senses, meaning she felt the intense flames that Shay had in that future scene. The comrades she shed blood with nowhere to be found. She didn't understand why she would not be present in Juro's side in her darkest hours. She not only realizes that in this moment, but also the very dream of a Kimyo-dominated Earth will never come to be. Even with her power as grand as seeing others' fate, she's in complete despair when facing her own mortality. Coming to see a differing conclusion than her sister, now residing on a prison island Patmos, in despair of knowing the events come. One artistic point that Brent used to display Uro and Kani Hime connection is the back spider-like extension, also tying in the web of fate thing as well, which I would like to shout out Mango, who brought that to my attention. We have two sisters whose main talents are psychic type, Uro, who can peer into everyone's past and thoughts, but ran away from her own past while not being able to read her own heart until her very last moment, and Kani Hime, who can see into the fate of others and laugh at their powerlessness, finally peered into the abyss and can only cry in terror, ignorant to her own fate in the bigger picture, now living every waking moment in fear. Her time ultimately comes to an end with that instance in the story. Yura and Kani Hime are wonderfully crafted characters in Ordeal. Due to the backstory not being plot relevant, we are missing a lot of information, but due to it being theme relevant, we do get bits and pieces, which is my job to piece together for you guys. Anyway, this is all I got for this video. I'm going to use the misunderstood videos as a milestone for me as an editor. So, Space Cadet, did you misinterpret the Hime sister characters? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Consider joining the Cosmic Armada with the bell enabled. And with that out of the way, enjoy your day, night, and evening. New Cadet, it's your captain, signing off.